Hello, this is Outnumbered. I'm Harris Faulkner here with my co-hosts Kayleigh McEnany and Emily Campagno, also joining us. Fox News contributor Leslie Marshall and Mission.com founder and former NFL player Chris Valletta. Welcome. We sometimes have your wife on.
We do. It's amazing.
We have to get you guys together.
Oh, yes. That would be awesome. We would love that.
Well, we're lucky to have you.
Thank you so much. Good to see you.
Absolutely. Well, let's begin with the brutal mob attack on 3 off-duty U.S. Marines in California. I always say a Marine is never really off-duty. The Orange County Sheriff's Department has now arrested and charged 9 minors, teenagers, in connection with this incident. 5 of those teenagers are facing felony charges of assault with a deadly weapon. The other 4 were charged with misdemeanor assault and battery. It all began late Friday night near the San Clemente Pier. The U.S. Marines allegedly approached the group of teenagers and asked if they could stop launching fireworks onto the beach. Leslie?
Well, my son surfs at this area, and this is San Onofre, and this is the San Onofre Gate entrance to Pendleton, which is a huge military base.
Yes.
They didn't even need to say they were military. Almost everybody down there is military, and you know, whether they're in uniform or not. I don't feel these guys attacked them because they're military. What I see on the beaches, and it's not because it's California, I think I see it among a lot of teenagers, you know, don't dig that fire pit. Don't do fireworks. A few reasons for that. People are really concerned about their pets. People are really concerned about safety. It's against the law in California to have fireworks, and of course safety. You could, hurt. I've seen people flip each other off. I've heard people say terrible things to each other, but to be violent like this in response, and look, there is no excuse for violence. I don't care if it's Memorial Day. I don't care if they're Marines. I don't care what state it is, what beach it is. It's completely wrong. I do think there is an element of, certainly what we teach our kids. And I say I do think there's an element because there are times you see a kid arrested and then you're like, I can't believe that kid was arrested. They came from such a nice family. Sure. I grew up with a family of 12, not my family, but friends. 11 of them went to college. 1 went to prison. So the parents do have something to do with it, but the kids need to take that beyond. But the authorities are doing the right thing. I mean, there are going to be charges, and these kids are going to have a very different future than maybe they were thinking.
I'm grateful for the Marines for telling them, stop lighting the fireworks. I think someone did.
Can I just say for San Clemente, they're one of the safest cities in California. Out of 466 cities in the state that I live in, they are 428. When it comes to crime, so it's normally a very safe city. I don't want them to get a bad rap.
Well, President Biden may be the Democratic frontrunner going into the 2024 election, but it's still very early, and with consistently low approval ratings, it's not a foregone conclusion that Democrats want him on the party's ticket, though that may be likely. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. and Marianne Williamson have jumped into the race, challenging the president for the Democratic nomination, and there could be more to come. But the Democratic National Committee has already decided to forego primary debates. That's not sitting well with many, including actor James Van Der Beek. The former Dawson's Creek actor is bashing the DNC for doing a disservice to democracy by not letting the other candidates get their message out there. Leslie, I will give you historical precedent here because it is true that this happens in both parties. When you have an incumbent president, there is precedent for this in a long list of it. That being said, I do want to pop up these numbers. You have these kind of 2 long shot candidates in Kennedy and Williamson. Kennedy is at 16%, Williamson 8%. That's pretty high up against Joe Biden's 62% for individuals whose names might not be well known. Not only that, ABC Washington Post said 58% of Democrat-leaning adults want someone else. So there does seem to be an appetite for exploration, let's say.
I have no problem with him not debating these individuals. I don't consider 8 and 16% good numbers, and a debate
for someone unknown. For a self-help therapeutic person.
The name Kennedy is known.
Marianne Williamson is not.
True, but she doesn't even have 10%. I mean, you know this. 1 debate, 10 debates isn't going to get the number high enough to knock Joe Biden off of the pedestal. 1 and 2. I'm glad you talked about precedent because you have Reagan, you have both of the Bushes, you have Trump. They didn't, as an incumbent, you want your party to support you. And the Democratic Party, if they're not all on board right now, they will be when he is the Democratic nominee once again, as he will be. So I don't have a problem. I would have a problem if he wasn't going to debate his opponent, who could be, Donald Trump or Ron DeSantis. That I would have a problem with. This I don't have a problem with.
Well, Leslie,
I'm not on the trail.
I'm not sure that even though perfect reps could get Joe Biden in a place to take on anyone, I would say any one of the GOP contenders against him. I don't care how many reps you do. I mean, this man, I just don't think he has the ability.
Well, that's what they said last time, because this is all very deja vu to me.
One of the debates
he's president of the United States. And I think one of the reasons for that is by the time the debates come up, before the general election, most people have made up their mind. It doesn't move the needle all that much. And especially in our country, it's very divided, and we're a two-party, system, mostly because of the Electoral College. So you have, most likely it will be either Donald Trump or Ron DeSantis on that stage with Joe Biden. And at the end of the day, I'm going to put it out there, I think he's going to win again. And even despite the lower approval ratings, because since 2016, I don't put stock in any polls. Polls that say they want him to debate. There are polls that say they don't want him to run. There are polls that say they don't want Trump to run. Should Joe Biden and Donald Trump not run because the polls say that? No.
The left-wing media has been quick to defend women of color from attacks. But apparently that same treatment doesn't apply to white women, because it's been crickets after the hosts of The View claimed that white women just vote the way their husbands tell them to. Leslie, what's so patently absurd as well about this is that for a concept as the woke left mob, the apologist mob for this kind of concept, and for Sunny, is that if you call yourself a feminist, what is more misogynistic and derogatory than to assume a woman would vote the way that her husband does? And then by virtue of that logic, does an unmarried woman then have no value? Does that mean I, as a white Republican woman who isn't married, do I have no value then in this structure that they have created and manufactured on air? Again, crickets from anyone calling themselves a feminist, from anyone calling themselves equal.
Well, I wouldn't say crickets, they're just not people we know. I definitely saw outrage, and that was my outrage. I am a white woman, and anyone of any race can be the victim of racism, and I know people may not like that, and that's a reality. That's why it's so disgusting. It's based on your skin color, no matter what your skin color is. But what really stood out to me as a feminist and a woman first, way first before I'm a Democrat, is that it was the sexism of this. And it bothered me. I'm going to tell you something, this is a true story. 1992, I was hosting a talk show on a station down there, and I just interviewed Ross Perot, and people were calling in with who they're going to vote for. And one woman said, oh, I'm going to let my husband make that decision. I almost fell off my chair. But this is 2023. Are there people of a certain generation, both Democrat and Republican, who had that mindset? Certainly maybe in the 50s, yes. But not now. I thought it was sexist, and I did see outrage, maybe not from big names.
Well, Chick-fil-A is a hot topic on social media after the company highlighted its commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion, stating on its webpage that, quote, Chick-fil-A Inc.'s commitment to being better at together means embedding diversity, equity, and inclusion in everything we do. Some mentioned the company's vice president of DEI, Eric McReynolds. He's been in that role since 2021, and the webpage is not new. But with the debate over DEI squarely in the middle of the public's mind, many are questioning if the backlash is starting to go too far. And, Leslie, it's very simple. Just don't exclude people under the guise of inclusion. That's what it comes down to.
Chick-fil-A has had this both ways, right? I mean, they've had trouble with the left because the owner said, look, and he still says, look, I'm going to double down. I don't believe a man should marry a woman should marry, but I'm going to keep my mouth shut, right? And then he stopped giving to a couple of anti-LGBTQ organizations because it was hurting his business. Because as a business person, we talked about this in the green room, from a business perspective, you want the whole pie. You don't want a piece of the pie, half of the pie, a quarter, a third. You want the whole pie when it comes to business. People certainly have the right. One of the greatest things about our nation, the freedom to choose. We can choose if we want to eat there and if we don't. But careful what you ask for, because you have people on the right that were attacking Bud Light and that used to get angry that Chick-fil-A was attacked by the left, and now Chick-fil-A is getting attacked by their own, if you will.
Yeah, for a business, it is about that pie. You're right, not giving away a slice of it. Worth noting, Chick-fil-A gave away a $1 billion slice of that pie when they said we're going to honor God by closing on Sundays.
I want to point out In-N-Out and give them a shout out to your point.
Yes.
On the bottom of their cups, it has the John 3:16 quote.
I did not know that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Wow, I'm going to be getting some In-N-Out.
The U.S. has just earned itself the nickname No Vacation Nation. Travel site Expedia's annual vacation deprivation report shows that American workers are taking less time off than those in any other country. Now, according to the survey, the average American worker used only 11 vacation days in 2022. That is less than Mexico, Singapore, Canada, and Australia. And on the flip side, workers in Japan, Hong Kong, Germany, France, and the UK took the most vacation time. Now, Leslie, I'm wondering if part of this is it semantics? Is it because we have personal days that you can take as employees here in the United States and other parameters that it gets incorporated into it? Or are we truly working ourselves to the bone?
We're truly working ourselves to the bone, in my opinion. You know, if you go to France and just get a job anywhere, you start with 30 vacation days, right? And when I was in Canada with my husband, we were in Montreal, we're at a restaurant, and I hate to admit this, we're both on our phones, right? We looked around, nobody else was. Nobody,
on their phones, right? Nobody?
Nobody. Yeah. They're enjoying dinner and talking, you know, to each other, which my husband and I should have been doing. But vacation, I love vacation. I take as much vacation as I can. Vacation means to vacate, and I love to take my kids traveling because the world truly, I'm sorry to be cliche, it is the best classroom in my opinion. Yeah. I have one life to live. I want to see this world before I die.
Last but not least, well, this certainly didn't go as planned. Climate activists tried to disrupt a Swedish dance competition show by storming the stage, throwing yellow powder in the air in the middle of a dance. But one of the cameras had other plans. Yes, the show must go on. Leslie.
I think it's great to protest, but I can't stand when you are defacing wonderful pieces of art. Those people could have been hurt. This has nothing, dancing does not hurt the climate, and this, whether inside or outside, this has nothing to do with climate change, and this doesn't help the climate change protesters, and not just protesters, but anybody who believes in climate change and wants to change our planet for the better. That's not going to do it, and it hurts the message.
They're not after that. They're after attention.
Attention. Clicks, likes, shares. We talked about that, but no one's talking about the aim of the cameraman.
Yeah. Spot on, bullseye.
That was a dead-on shot. Good for them. You got to watch out for the cameras in here, because who knows?
Let it be known, the moral of this story is you will never interrupt Elsa singing "Let It Go," Frozen, whatever rendition. It's not going to happen.
I was going to say that was my thing.
Takeaway.
They sing Frozen. They sing "Let It Go" in Swedish. Cool.
Yeah. Yes, awesome.
Totally awesome.
Thanks for watching, everybody.